Sometimes you just gotta go bar down.
Kirill, top titty 2x4 to end the game. That was nice.
Bardown Beauties.
That's the sexy part of the game, is it not? The plays and the goals and the...
Yeah, that's what you guys like. I mean, it is great.
And now, a new episode of Bardown Beauties with Jesse Pierce and Kirsten Krull. Hello, everybody. What's up, Bardown Beauties 271. We're recording on a Monday, as always, for your listening pleasure on a Tuesday, Minnesota in Dallas tonight before returning back home. My gosh, Kirsten, we're so fortunate. I will say we are so fortunate to have our jobs. I am in just like this tailspin right now. Like, we knew March was going to be tough. We knew it was going to be hard with all the home games. We knew it was going to be tough with NCHC and with Women's Frozen Four. I am just at a kind of like swirl at this moment.
Do I look tired? Because I'm tired.
Yeah.
I went to bed. I came home from the championship last night, poured myself 2 big glasses of wine. I'll be very transparent there. Very deserved after the long weekend. I was in bed by 8:30 and I slept until 8:30 a.m. this morning.
So good.
Like, me and my dog, we are rested.
Yes. Finally. But just to
It's
do
about
it
time.
all
I
over
slept in a
again.
closet on Saturday. Like, true
Did you
story.
actually, though? I did see that picture.
No,
Did
like,
you
I
actually?
actually took a 30-minute nap in a closet, in a chair.
Yeah. That's one way to do it. One way to get there. But yeah, I didn't know what day it was. Like, on Friday was a really weird day, I think, for me, just because it was like coming off, I don't know, it just felt it was a weird day. And I like thought the Wild were playing a game because the Wild hadn't practiced in a long time at that point. And so I was talking to like Freddie Gaudreau, and I mistakenly was like, yeah, so you going to wear that for the game tonight? And he's like, tonight? We play tomorrow, don't we? And I was like, I don't know. What day is it? Just trying to catch up. No rest for the wicked. However, again, hosting Vegas Tuesday when you're listening to this, Alex Ovechkin and the Caps in town on Thursday. And then there is the New Jersey Devils on Saturday. So just raring to go. Injury update. I have none. Kirill Kaprizov, I believe, should start skating potentially this week, is what I've been told. Fingers crossed. As of now, he has not touched the ice. Joel Erik's neck, I don't believe, is any closer to getting on the ice. Marcus Foligno dealing with an upper body injury as of right now. My bigger concern, Kirsten, we saw Jonas Brodin, your boy, back in action in the lineup Saturday for a Minnesota Wild victory. But as much as Jonas had said, yes, I feel fine, it definitely feels like it's an injury that he's not 110% healed from.
No.
And I worry like what that management for him looks like then. Like, you're probably going to see no morning skates. You might see less optional skates for him. Like, I don't know. I just wonder what this means, not even for him for the rest of this year, but like down the road of his career, because it's not the first season he's dealt with a constant injury, and it's, seems to be even worse at this point.
It makes me really upset for 25, but looking short term, a not fully healthy Brodin is still better than no Brodin. Also, why did the Wild recently, when they recalled Liam Ogren, also recall another defenseman?
That's right. That's my question. They have Cameron Crotty recalled under emergency conditions, which means he can
not
only
even
play.
Juracek, not even.
Well, I think the Juracek explanation. So I asked John Hines specifically about David Juracek last week while Juracek was still in Minnesota. In fact, I have the audio clip of that. Should we just play that? I'll just let Hines tell you. Let's toss it over to what John Hines said in response to me asking about Juracek being with the Minnesota Wild yet not getting in the roster. Take a listen. David Juracek, what's kind of been the conversations and communication with him, or what's the plan with him moving forward as he stays up here with the big club but not yet slotting in?
Yeah, it's it's a difficult one with David. He's been great. I think we've tried to use it where he hasn't gone in, but he's put in a lot of extra work and done some things that I think are beneficial to him individually as a player. He knows the situation, and obviously we have to keep him here right now. If there is an injury, then he's going to be the next man up. So I think being around the team, being around the environment, getting the extra work he's put in is not a bad thing. Obviously, the game action is important as well. So if, let's say, Brodin comes back or we don't get any injuries, it is on our mind to let him get down and play and continue for his development as well. So I think overall it's been a positive.
So yeah, I mean, I understand where Hines is coming from as far as the positive goes. Like, it's positive that he's here with the team and he's the first one in. It just feels very much like he's a player you could have used. And no disrespect to like John Merrill, who I think has played well. But he's that offensive component. And we talked about that before. Like, that's the only thing that's curious to me. But that's why I think maybe you call Cameron Crotty up so Yurchek can get some games in Iowa, right?
Maybe. But also, and I say this respectfully, and it's partially on me for not paying attention like I should be to the Iowa Wild. It's another defenseman I haven't heard of that they're recalling up here.
Yeah, that's fair. No, that's very fair. And maybe you'll have Zeev Buliam quicker than expected. Not gonna lie though, Denver in that semifinal game did not look great. They came out victorious, but Zeev too wasn't as solid as I would have anticipated, I guess.
No, but I don't know. And this is no disrespect to conference championship games.
Sure.
Like, but you look at the championship game between Denver and Western Michigan. Both teams obviously want to win for pride. Both teams are already, they didn't have as much on the line as other teams would have. They already were making the NCAA tournament. So they didn't have that automatic bid or season end kind of extra push to get them through. Like, yes, like it's cool. It's an honor to be a conference championship, but they got their eyes on the bigger picture, which is the NCAA.
Right. Yeah. If you had Nodak or Arizona State in there, each of them needing to get that win in order to be NCAA eligible. Are you excited for NCAA hockey brackets? That was released Selection Sunday yesterday. I know your Huskies are not there. I apologize. So you're going to get on the Gopher bandwagon?
Never.
Ah?
I
Okay.
literally am never. No, zero interest.
It's kind of rude if you ask me. Like, who else are you going to cheer for?
I'm not going to cheer. Like,
you're an absentee ballot.
I respectfully don't. If my team's not there, I don't really care. Like, I hope everybody has fun.
Oh, wow. What about Minnesota State?
Still not my team, not my school. Wish
You'd rather
them
see
luck.
them succeed. You'd rather see them win over the Gophers, though.
I don't know. Honestly, if I'm cheering for anybody, it's probably Western Michigan. NCHC representation. I love what Pat Ferschweiler has done with that team. A Rochester, Minnesota native, John Marshall High School grad. So also I'm biased. My high school, my town. I feel, that added connection, even though he and I have never met. So Western Michigan, I'm rooting for them through the tournament. I take that back.
Alex Bump, baby. What a player. What a player. In case you missed it, we tweeted this out too, but you have Boston College as the #1 overall, taking on Bentley in the first round of their region. That's out in Manchester, New Hampshire. Providence and Denver, the other two squads in that region. Then you've got Western Michigan taking on Minnesota State, the Broncos, #4 seed overall, and Minnesota versus Massachusetts. That's in the Fargo, North Dakota region. And then over in Allentown, Pennsylvania, you have #3 Maine versus Penn State, UConn versus Quinnipiac, and then out in Toledo, Ohio, #2 Michigan State against Cornell, and Boston University against Ohio State. I gotta say, I hand it to the NCAA. They did a nice job dispersing those Hockey East teams. Like, that was going to be such a challenge, right? To not have all these Hockey East teams loaded in one and trying to work their way into the Frozen Four happening in St. Louis. But yeah, I mean, I think each region looks really fun. There's some really good competition there. I mean, it's the Gophers' year, though, I think.
Okay.
I say it every year.
Well, just objectively, it will sound very harsh. It would be almost a failure if this Gophers squad doesn't get it done.
Yeah.
It's a loaded roster, so it would just be wasted potential almost if they don't win it all.
Yeah.
Which is harsh to say, but
that's fair. I need it. I need the bounce back because my Iowa State Cyclones got eliminated and I had picked them to win the entire March Madness bracket, and
that was your first mistake.
They looked awful. I can't. There's the loyalty. I just couldn't. I was like, I love them. I want them. The thing is, I didn't do my due diligence. So this Iowa State basketball team was loaded. Like, this was a year. Like, they were top 5 the entire season, mostly top 3. They came in with the #3 seed to the tournament. Their best player got injured right before the start of it. They lost 2 of their other key offensive pieces. Shout out to Nate Heisey, though, our good friend Taylor Heisey's brother, getting in that starting lineup. But Iowa State looked pitiful. And now I don't care about March Madness. Don't ask me about any games. I don't care. I don't care.
I have not watched a lick of college basketball all year, and my bracket's still doing pretty good. It's,
Who's your champion?
Michigan State.
I think that's a safe one, right? I believe Michigan State's fairly popular. But that was a tough, close game yesterday.
I, again, have not watched a lick of basketball, but I'm checking my updated bracket, and it's still kicking it. And it's the only one that hurt me was Kansas. I had them Elite 8.
Fair.
But you know what? We're doing good. I'm more than pleasantly surprised.
Speaking
the
of
vibes never do you wrong. Like my bracket was based on vibes.
Sometimes that's what you do. That's what everybody does for the basketball one. The vibes are decent in Minnesota, right? For the Minnesota Wild. They're still holding on to that top wild card spot with 85 points, 4 points ahead of St. Louis, who has jumped into the playoff conversation because, of course, they did. They are hot to trot right now. So that's what it is. 4 points ahead of them. Still 4 points behind the Colorado Avalanche for that third spot. Winnipeg, 100 points leading the Central Division and the West in general. Dallas Stars number 2 right now. It looks like Minnesota would play your Vegas Golden Knights for that first round if the playoffs were to begin today. Another tough week, though, on tap, Kirsten, as we'd mentioned. Dallas on Monday when we are recording, so we don't have an update on that. Vegas in town Tuesday, and we're going to see a non-record breaking Alex Ovechkin on Thursday. It just kills me.
Yeah,
I dreamed it. I didn't dream it hard enough.
It hurts that it was so close, at least to like Gretzky starting to come. They get the 6-3 win over Florida. You check the stats, and Ovechkin did not have one of those 6 goals.
No.
And the even funnier comment was somebody said, yeah, the more surprising thing was that he had 2 assists. That was more surprising than him not having any goals.
I know.
Not happening.
It's not. It'll still be, cool, I guess. I'd let him rip in 3. Get a Hattie here in St. Paul. Do it. Come within 1. I don't know.
1. I don't know.
It also, I guess, is a little bit better because it'll be a less chaotic media scrum, I suppose. Like, I couldn't imagine trying to weasel my way into that scrum with 50 media contingencies.
It would be national media everywhere. Like, so many national media members would be traveling.
Yes. Understandably, it's a big deal.
I mean, I get that too.
But yeah, all in all, I guess to sum it up before we get to Dominique Petrie and talk a little bit of Frost hockey, Minnesota Wild seem to be playing still okay. I mean, they're treading water continuously because defensively, that's the way they're playing. Shout out to Philip Gustafsson, who again has had a solid year. There was a little bit of a blip, but man alive, like he is keeping this team. He is their best penalty killer. He is the reason that the Minnesota Wild are coming away with these 2 points. They're finally starting to get a little offensive click. I would like to point out, I wrote this article last week about Matt Boldy, who at the time when I wrote the article, which I was assigned, I would like that to be clear. I never pick my headlines and I never pick my assignments, okay? I'm told what to write about and I have to make do with my topics. My topic was how Matt Boldy was going to be a key to the Minnesota Wild succeeding. At the time of the assignment, Matt Boldy hadn't scored in 11 games and didn't even have like a point in even more. But I made it work, Kirsten, as I do. I wrote the story and then I got torn apart about it because everyone's like, Matt Boldy hasn't done anything. Well, guys, since that story released, he is on a 3-game point streak. He has 5 points in 3 games, so you're welcome, Matt.
Yeah, somebody else who's going to feel very vindicated is our good friend Mitch, who is listening from out in Vegas, who anytime we would bring up Matt Boldy not doing anything would send me a message.
Well,
So he probably feels very vindicated. I'm like, it's about damn time.
It's about
thanks.
time. Like, yeah. Like
here's the thing. I want Matt Boldy to do something. He just hadn't been doing anything.
Yeah, it's tough love. That's all it is. It's that tough love that we like to give to the guys.
Yeah, sure. It's a plea more than anything.
Do something. No, but you're starting to get contributions from those guys that should be contributing. I maintain that Yakov Trenin should be bought out this offseason.
I'm pretty sure it's Trenyan.
Yeah, it is Trenyan. I was told this weekend that I need to stop tweeting. I can't with number 13 because apparently I tweeted a lot.
You do, and you say it a lot.
Well,
He's out
at
there
least I'm
doing his
consistent.
best.
He has cement hands. Did you see that breakaway opportunity? Like, I knew that there was nothing to get excited about. Like, it's like I don't know. I can't. I'm sure he's a really nice person.
Just a man doing his best.
Is he though? Is that his best? Like, is that the best?
Everyone's best looks different.
That's true. Keep trying.
Mhm.
We're gonna try to wrap this one up. We're gonna take a quick break. When we come back, Dominique Petrie, Minnesota Frost forward. Stay tuned. Your favorite P-Dub dynamic duo has teamed up with our friends at SotaStick for a one-of-a-kind merch collaboration. Signed, sealed, and delivered, women's hockey superstars Grace Zumwinkle and Taylor Heisey bring their patented personalities with a whole vibe on tees and crew necks, now available only at SotaStick.com. While you're purchasing those, don't forget to toss in some 1980 Miracle memorabilia to help celebrate the 45th anniversary of everyone's favorite on-ice moment. As always, use code Bardown Beauties at checkout for 15% off all purchases at SotaStick.com. All right, we're back. Joining us now, Minnesota Frost forward Dominique Petrie. Dom, what's going on? Good morning. How are we?
Good morning. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. You had to start the day off with a body comp test. How does that really start your week? I'm sure.
Yes. Kickstarts on the right foot.
Not only that, you guys now, after seemingly being on the road and away from home for forever, you guys are going to be back at home for a couple of games this week. How excited are you for that?
I am so pumped. That's all I feel like I've been talking about with all my friends and everyone, that we're finally back home and we're in Minnesota and we get to play in front of our own fans for a while, which will be really fun and really exciting. And we have 2 theme nights coming up as well this week. So I just think the atmosphere is going to be great. I think everyone on our team, top to bottom, is really excited to be home and just playing in front of our crowd again.
I mean, what is it like playing here in Minnesota? You have been on the good side of Minnesota fans and maybe the not so good side of Minnesota fans, going back to the NCAA overtimes when you helped Clarkson defeat Minnesota. But what's it been like being a part of the Frost and now getting those fans on your good side in your rookie season?
Yeah, it's definitely better. Minnesota sports fans can be intense at times, but it's honestly incredible. I mean, I just think back to the very first game, the home opener that we had, where obviously we were able to have the Walter Cup celebration with last year's team at the start of the game. And just the energy and excitement in that building when I stepped foot in it was a very surreal moment. And kind of just taking a look around and being like, whoa, this lower bowl is full and they're all here for us and for women's hockey, which is incredibly special. And I think it's really cool too. You'll be walking in the airport in your Frost gear and people will recognize you or know who you are, which that doesn't always happen everywhere. So I think it's really cool and a testament to the fans here, and how special they really are.
Well, and speaking of the fans too, only in the first season officially having a team name and full identity now, they've accumulated their own traditions as the season has gone on. What has been some of your favorite things you've seen the fans do from a player's perspective?
So actually, one of my favorite ones I saw when I was out injured this earlier in the season, because where we were sitting was on the side, kind of in one of the corners, and in the opposite corner there's these fans and they always start the "Brr, it's cold in here.
Mhm.
There must be some frost in the atmosphere." And I remember the first time I heard that, I was sitting up in the box and I don't remember who I was sitting with, but I was like, oh, that's really creative and cool, which is really awesome. And then I think for myself too, a really cool moment was at our season ticket holder event. There was a fan who had bought a jersey and then went out and put my last name and my number on it, and just kind of to see someone else wearing that was like, whoa, this is really cool. And just was a very special moment for myself, and just was very blessed that A, he's a fan, and then B, went to the extreme lengths that he did in order to do that. So I think those are just 2 little things that kind of made me smile and made me really see how special our fans were.
I have to ask you, my young girls here, tell me you know what that cheer reference is. Do we know?
Isn't it a song?
Kirsten looks completely lost because she's a non-movie person. My
I'm
goodness,
not
this
even
kills
gonna
my
answer.
soul. All right, there was this movie called Bring It On that was everything when I was in middle school. It was about the cheerleaders
Yes.
with
Okay,
the
Kirsten
Hayden
Dunst.
movie.
Hold on, which one? Hayden Panettiere?
No,
It
that,
On?
we don't even talk about that. That's not even a
Okay.
thing. All right,
Well,
this
never
is
mind.
the only movie. And yeah, but the song goes, "There must be some toros in the atmosphere." I said burr, but they actually stole it from the Clovers, and it should be the Clovers, but that was one of the all over the head. But that kills my soul a little bit.
I'm
you
going to be
guys.
honest, I've only ever seen the Hayden Panettiere version of Bring It On. So
Dom, have you seen Bring It On?
Yeah, but I don't know which version now. But I have seen
goodness.
it.
Oh
It
goodness.
is a
It's
good
probably
movie. It's a great movie.
for
Dom's
somebody that
probably
wasn't really
seen the same one as me.
I bet. Yeah. Which came out quite a bit later after the first one. Like I said, I was in middle school, so that's how long ago that one was. But it was I saw it in the movie theater. It's a great time. I was like, oh, maybe I want to be a cheerleader. Just kidding. I didn't want to be a cheerleader. But okay, well, good. And I'm glad we got that settled because that's exactly what I thought. I was like, I bet they don't have any idea, but we found it. Dom, you had mentioned your injury and having to sit out. What was that like? It's not the first time that you've had a season interrupted by a knee injury, but just to face that adversity as you're getting your professional career kicked off, how did you deal with that?
Yeah, it obviously was a big bummer, I would say. I think it was the start of the year. There was so much momentum going. I was playing really awesome. But kind of just realizing like things happen and injuries are a part of the game, as you mentioned. Like this is not the first time I've dealt with it and probably unfortunately won't be the last either. But just tried to like honestly keep a positive attitude about it. Injuries are very up and down. You have good days, you have bad days. So you just kind of have to try and ride it out with it and just knowing that it would take time, but ultimately I would be able to get back on the ice and get playing again. And just trying to like find whatever I could in that time to still be involved with the team, still do what I can. I think kind of too, I was able to lean on previous experiences when I was struggling, like, okay, what did I do back then? What worked, what didn't? And how can I bring that to this injury moving forward? And then even to come out back on the ice, it's like, okay, jumping right back into games, like didn't really have much reps under my belt, but it's also all like a learning curve and an experience of something that, okay, I haven't done this before, so I'm going to gain this experience now. Cause as I said, like it might happen again and it's only going to help make me better in the long run.
And, maybe adjusting to the injury is part of this answer to the question I'm going to ask you. But as you've transitioned from collegiate to your pro career, what have some of the biggest learning curves or adjustments you've had to make?
Yeah, I think that obviously was a big one. It kind of, I don't want to say like threw a boomerang in the year, but kind of was like, oh, we have to pause, pivot, readjust. But I think the big thing too is like, the difference of like the pros versus college is that I have found is like you're playing, like I had mentioned, like you jumped right back into it and you like picked up right where you left off. It's not really like you have the whole week to prepare as you do in college for your 2 games on the weekend. But like you're on the road for felt like we were on the road for almost like a month straight there for a little bit. But you're obviously on the road a lot and there's not a lot of like practice reps. So it's just a lot of pregame skates and games. And I'd say that's kind of been the biggest adjustment is being able to be dialed in and day out without really getting the practice reps and having to get yourself ready in other ways opposed from just like getting the physical practice reps. So I'd say it's been a little bit obviously of a journey, but a challenge, but in a good way too, because you kind of figure out what works, what doesn't, what you like, what you don't like, and just being able to kind of go with the flow a little bit too, because at the end of the day, most of it's out of our control, but we just have to step foot on the ice for the puck drop and be ready to go at that point in time.
Sure, that sounds like a challenge, but I think a bigger challenge for you might have been dealing with the Minnesota winter for your first time, a Southern California gal. I heard you were maybe a little bit more bundled than others more often than not. What was that like? And frankly, I should let you know, Dom, this was a little bit of a softer winter for us, I think, personally. Kirsten, would you agree?
I would say the last 2-3 winters we've had have been very abnormal from what I grew up with. Like we've had, I would say this winter and last winter too, we've had one spurt where it's like, wow, it's really cold. Yeah. But all in all, this is nothing like we're typically used to.
Sorry, girl. Yeah.
All I know is that there was that one weekend. It actually landed like around my birthday, so I had some friends in town too, and it was the negative whatever 20 degrees with the wind, and it was freezing. And of course, one of my friends had the brilliant idea of, oh, let's just go build a bonfire and sit out in the sun because the sun's out, so it'll warm us up. And you want to talk about bundled. So first off, I'm roommates with May Batherson, and she always would give me shit because I would have two coats on. I'd have like a smaller puffer and then our big puffer with like a hoodie underneath too and a long sleeves. Don't get that wrong. But I remember we were going out to this bonfire and I was like, what am I supposed to wear? Like, I'm going to freeze so cold. So I literally had on like the base layers. Then I had a pair of leggings on. Then I had a pair of thick sweatpants on with a blanket on top and just like fully bundled up top. Like, I don't think there was maybe just like my little eyes were showing with sunglasses on top. But yeah, the winter, I don't know, hearing is mild is tough because I don't know, we had a couple negative days where I was like, it's cold as heck here. And it's always so deceiving too, because I think the sun's out. So I think sun, warm, LA, oh, it's going to be beautiful. And even the other day, like I went out for a walk around the lake and sun was out. And I usually go out on the patio and check before I walk out. So I know if I need to add some more layers or not.
Sure.
And I didn't check because I saw the sun. I was like, oh, it's so beautiful. Like I just got to get out there before it sets. And I get out there and about halfway through, I was like, I've made a big mistake. Like I was just in this little, like not even coat and like a long sleeve underneath, and the wind too is just ripping right through me. I was like, oh, but I was committed and I was already halfway around, so I had to finish it out. But
you live and you learn. And I am not a weatherman, and somebody actually told me this like 2 weeks ago. Apparently in the winter, if the sun is out, it's even colder than a cloudy day because the clouds like insulate. So
oh, I did not know that.
I literally learned that like a month ago, so I can't take credit.
See,
but
and
also,
I didn't know that.
Backtracking a little, I have to ask, how long did this bonfire last?
Maybe like 20, 25 minutes.
You tried.
It was also really funny because I was in a white beanie because it was the warmest beanie I own. And I think progressively in the 20 minutes, I was getting closer and closer to the fire. And by the end, it was just black, covered in the ashes of the fire. I was like, oh, yeah, I need to go get this one dry cleaned now.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, then they went off and were like sledding and stuff. I was like, you guys are crazy. I'm not doing that. It's so cold. But
we get a little crazy. I mean, when you're stuck inside all the time, right? We get a little crazy. We get a little nuts, I think. Yeah. It's bizarre. But that's what I didn't know the actual facts that Kirsten just dropped, but I just always knew, like, growing up, like, well, we can either have it freezing cold and sunny, or we can have it dreary and a little bit warmer, but it's snowing. Like, that seemed to always be, like, those are your two choices in Minnesota for the winter. And it was like, I kind of want the sun, but it's too cold to go outside and do anything. But I don't know. Yeah. A couple years ago, this was actually when the Minnesota Wild hosted the Winter Classic. It was like -50 with the wind chill, I think it was, and they still played. People still showed up. Like, beers were freezing instantly as soon as you cracked them. It was very Minnesotan of us.
Yeah, I went to that Winter Classic very spur of the moment. We were at Basement Bar, and I was not dressed. I was wearing a dress, and I had a plaid jacket, and we marched on over to the Winter Classic, but because tickets were like $50 at that point because it was so cold. But we found a heated room to watch the game from the entire Winter Classic. So I was not dressed appropriately, but I got lucky and found a heated area.
Would you have gone to the Winter Classic, Dom?
I think so. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would have been able to last the whole game. That's for sure. But yeah, I feel like that's one of those once in a lifetime experiences. But now it's like, I don't know. I think it's a little sad with all the stadium series because I think it kind of pulls away from the Winter Classic a little bit. But
they're ruining it. I covered that one, and I literally had to wear my choppers and hat because you're sitting in the press box of the Twin Stadium, which is obviously not built for that cold against the window. So it was just as cold inside as it was outside. It was an experience. But let's go to warmth. SoCal, growing, booming in hockey, which we love to see as hockey aficionados. How did you get started in hockey? And tell us about your journey on up.
Yeah, so I actually originally am from San Jose area, so the Bay Area. And I have an older brother, and we are very close. And obviously, when you're younger, you want to do everything that your sibling does. My dad actually took him to a San Jose Sharks game, and Mike Ritchie got into a fight like right on the glass in front of him, and he like absolutely loved it, and then loved Mike Ritchie too, which I think is so funny because now he's actually on the Sharks coaching staff.
Yeah.
So like he's still involved with the team, which is really cool too, and like working on like skill development with all these guys. But my brother went to the game, and then I was like, oh, I want to do that too, like begging my parents to take me. And then on my third birthday, I got my first pair of skates and like strapped them on and started skating around the rink, and then watched the movie MVP, which is Most Valuable Primate, with Jack the monkey. And I like thought it was the coolest thing ever. He was like going through people's legs and like scoring goals. And I like started when he first started skating, he was like putting his hands on the ice because he wasn't really like standing up. So that was how I like technically started to learn to skate. And we would go around this rink in the basement of a mall, actually, in Northern California for like hours on end. And I would just skate laps around and around and around it. It gave similar vibes, my parents would say, to Minnesota winter, where they were just absolutely freezing there, like trying to get me off the ice, and I would never come off. But that was kind of how I started skating. And then growing up in the Bay Area, there wasn't very much hockey, like let alone girls hockey, but even like boys hockey. And I remember I actually grew up like playing with my brother on some of his teams and practicing on some of his teams, which was a really cool experience. And I think that was kind of a big reason of how my game developed when I was younger, and how I was able to honestly like get as good as I was, just being able to practice with these players that were bigger, stronger, faster, even at a younger age. And then my parents moved down to Southern California. And before that, for a year, actually, we were playing for a team in SoCal, and we were basically commuting back and forth every single weekend to play hockey. So we would do like lessons and skill stuff during the week up in the Bay, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday would go down, do lessons, practice with the teams. And again, I was fortunate enough that because there weren't tons, like my brother's coaches let me jump in like with him and in his lessons. And looking back on it, my brother absolutely hated it. Like,
I can imagine, right?
Probably hated me for it too. So I can only imagine the fights that would actually break out, that my parents would have to break up between us.
What's the age difference between you guys?
We're 3 years.
Okay.
So he's a 98 and I'm an 01. And he had some like really good players like on his team in the Cali birth years. Surprisingly, even though Cali isn't a huge like hot spot for hockey, they do produce a lot of very good talent, especially on like the boys side, and even like my team growing up. So after we did that for a year, we ended up moving to Southern California. And I played 1 year with the Junior Kings, probably like 6 or 7 years with the Anaheim Junior Ducks, and then 1 year with the San Diego Gulls. And all throughout this time, it was actually all boys AAA hockey that I was playing, just because having played with my brother and the pace of it, and then jumping into it, the girls hockey really wasn't as big as it is now. And like there's clubs that didn't even exist that exist today, which I think is awesome. So like the Junior Kings now have like a youth girls program as well. And actually during COVID, I was fortunate to coach that team. And it's crazy because like now these girls are starting college next year, and it's like I remember them when they were little babies. But just the growth of hockey in California as a whole has really boomed, and then especially like girls hockey, going out and seeing all of them playing in clinics now and starting from a super young age, I think is really cool to see. And kind of, I think one thing too that I try and share with a lot of these girls is I think like everyone's hockey path is different, and a lot of girls I think see players that move out to the East Coast and go to prep schools, and I kind of just share with them that like everyone's path is different, and you can kind of create and make your own path. And if you don't want to like leave California, you don't have to, because like I didn't. It's a great spot to be, and there's tons of resources out there now, and even still with like the growing of the girls hockey out there. Like they're able to play girls hockey all the way through and then go to college, which I think is really cool to be able to see. But yeah, that's kind of a little bit about how I started and then my journey through, and then that ultimately led me into college and then college into the pros. So yeah.
Pretty great. No big
Yeah.
deal, right? Brush your shoulders off a little bit. You get to tell your brother that you're better than him all the time as well, then, right? Like you get to kind of rub it in, like I'm a professional hockey player. So
Yeah, I
thanks.
try to. But it's funny. He actually works for the NHL in the Utah Hockey Club, like part-time. So he's like
Nice.
he works like in the penalty box and like down on the ice, and he's like, I'm basically in the show. And I'm like, okay, but no. He's like, but I'm in the show. Like I work for the show. And I was like, okay, so do
I mean, his check is from the NHL, I guess,
Yeah.
right? Like technically,
my boss is the NHL, and I was like, okay, but no, it's pretty funny and pretty cool. So it's like we technically both are in the pros,
Yeah.
and I was like, yeah.
He found the loophole and is
Yeah.
using it to his advantage. SMH.
It's a sick job. I don't blame him. I was like, I would do it too. So
yeah, they're getting some
Can't blame
good
them.
crowds out there too. I just saw that from the other night as they're making their push. Like that'd be a fun,
Yeah,
fun
it's sick.
thing to be a part of for that first year.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really cool.
It is
Well,
really cool.
Dom, getting to know you just a little bit more off the ice too. Now that you've gotten to know Minnesota a little bit more after being here, what are some of your favorite things to do on an off day or after a game?
Recently on my off days, I've really been enjoying like walking around the lake. It's been warming up a bit, so I can do that. And I think it's just really cool to be able to do that. A couple of my friends that live locally here, they're like pretty big foodies, so I've been able to like explore some of the restaurants in like downtown Minneapolis and North Loop area. And I'd say like there's a lot of hidden gems that maybe they're just taking me to the really good ones. But there's a lot of hidden gems that I really like. And it's kind of funny too, because one of my friends from college like texted me and goes, I love when I see that you've liked these like Minnesota like activities, things to do that you're doing, which was funny. But I was like, and then I told her, I was like, no, you actually need to go to this place. Like my friends took me and it's great. So I thought that was really funny. So definitely like trying out the local food spots. And then honestly, I've been kind of, when we're in town on weekends, trying to find like different activities. I think one weekend we went to a Christmas market, try to go to like other sporting events too that are here. So I think we're looking into we go to handful of Wild games, of course, but then also some of like the pro soccer teams that's here, that their season just started, so we're gonna hopefully head to some of those. But that's kind of what I've been doing when I'm not around the rink. But
You're a foodie, but I also hear you like to cook. Like you're kind of
do.
a little chef and like to get in the kitchen. What's the one meal that you're like, you know what, I'm really, really good at this, and that's what I make? Do you just like trying different things and have like your flavors that you like and you're like, bam, let's do this?
Yeah, I think it kind of it ebbs and flows, so it kind of goes on what I'm feeling for the week. So like the other day, one of my like staple go-tos is a cauliflower gnocchi Brussels sprout bowl. So it's like chicken, the cauliflower gnocchi, which is from Trader Joe's, like char up some Brussels sprouts, and then like you mix it all together with a pesto sauce and then top it with like balsamic glaze, cheese, and some spices. And that one I think I've gotten pretty good at, but it's also hit or miss because some people don't like the gnocchi. I'm always a sucker for anything sweet potato. Like I made some sweet potato nachos one day, like on a sheet pan, for a bunch of like my friends, and then May and another girl in our team that lives in our building. So like anything with sweet potatoes, like I'm a sucker for. But I don't know. I don't know if I have like a staple. I kind of just try new things out, and usually it takes some experimenting and figuring out to like be like, okay, now like I have this down. But yeah, I do like to cook if I can.
That being said, do you bake as well, or do you cook? Like for me, I'm the same way. I'd rather just try things, and I'm like, I like my flavors, but I don't measure anything ever for any of it. And baking, you have to, because it's a legit science. So I hate baking, but I could cook all day.
That is why I do not bake. I think there are a couple of times I baked a little bit in college because one of my roommates had some really good recipes. So there's like 2 things that I can bake that I know because I have the recipes for and I've done it enough that I'm like, okay, I can do it. But free trying bacon is not going to be my thing. The fire alarms will definitely be going off in the building. So I just will stick to going and getting my dessert too.
That seems fair.
Yeah.
I wouldn't disagree with that. Yeah.
Like some time too.
Right.
Less cleanup that way as well.
That's very true.
I let Heisey do the baking and then bring it in, and I'll.
Is she a baker?
She's a big baker. Yeah.
Okay.
She'll come in with something almost every week. Well, when we're home, she will, and she'll bring it in, and we'll do it that way. Which also is better because then if I just had it at my apartment, I think I would just eat it all in one sitting. So, just having her bring one in a week is good for me.
I did bake during Wild Development Camp this year, and without thinking, I brought it and gave it to the players. I'm like, I don't feel like I should be giving you guys these things before you get on the ice. But there were only like 3 that took it, and 3 were like very new kids. And I'm like, oh, I should have told you guys not to do that. But here we are. Whoops. They didn't make the team. No, I'm just kidding. Before we let you go, Dom, we've got 2 fan questions. The first one we kind of already touched on, but from Derek F. What is a typical practice like, and is it different than what you experienced in college? You kind of already talked about that, but is it just so nice to be at home and get those practice reps? Tria, obviously a great facility for you guys too. Tell us a little bit about a practice day norm for you.
Yeah, I mean, obviously when we get to practice, it's really nice. I think one of the things that we talk about, like our coaches do, and as a team, is like playing fast and playing with pace. And that's one thing that I think our practices really mimic. So we have a lot of speed. We're moving through drills. Like we're on the ice working. When we're not working, we're getting water and then we're right back in it, which I actually really like. And it's not a lot of like standing around or talking things up, but we're working, and then we're getting off and kind of taking care of business, which I think translates well to when we play on the ice. Like our practice habits show through in the game, which is really cool.
Yeah. And then the other question from Brock Kaprizov, which I'm going to go out on a limb and suggest it's not his real name, but or her real name. They want to know why we're at number 14, correct?
Yeah.
Why number 14? Was that always been your number? Is there any significance behind jersey number 14?
Yeah. So kind of tying it back together, when I was growing up playing with my brother was 41. And then I picked since I couldn't be 41, I picked the opposite of him, which was 14. So it's kind of been like a little bit of like a family number ever since then. And coming in, I've switched my numbers a little bit. I think I switched it when I was at Harvard. I switched to 14 for my last 3 years there. Once someone graduated, and then at Clarkson, I couldn't have it because someone else was. And then when I came into the Frost, they asked us to rank. So I think I ranked 41, and that was taken. And then that's Denny. And then I was 29 at Clarkson. So I ranked 29, and that was taken. Yeah. And then I think 14 was like, okay, I'll take 14, and luckily no one else had it, so I was able to, and which I was shocked by because usually 14 is taken and people have it. So I was
41 seems like a weirder one to me to have taken than 14.
Yeah.
Like 14, I'm like, well, that seems normal. 41 is a number. I'm like, oh, that is very interesting.
Yeah, so I kind of was gonna like bring it back because the first time I played without my brother, I was 41, but then it was like everyone's like 41, like that's such a high, random, weird number. But then I think I ultimately switched back to 14, and I'm happy with it. I think it suits me well. So
there you go. It's also sharing the number of Kirsten's second favorite Wild player as well. So
we miss him dearly and would love for him to come back. But
yeah.
Just saw
injuries.
We saw a sign of life. We saw him in the background of a video the Wild posted, so he's around.
He said he was behind me. For whatever reason, Kaprizov and Foligno were in the press box seating area the other day, so it was awkward. Yeah. I feel like it was just like a parade. Like, see, they're alive. We have them. They're not kept people. But that being said, sure, the Wild are home. But more importantly, the Frost back in action. Dom, we really appreciate you joining us. Go check Dominique out as well as the rest of her team this Wednesday and Sunday, hosting Montreal in Toronto, 7 p.m. on Wednesday, noon on Sunday. So excited to have you guys back, Dom. Great to get to know you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right,
See
guys,
you
that's
Wednesday.
see you Wednesday. That's gonna do it for this week's episode. As always, shout out to Greenbelt, Talk North, Jim Beam. Thanks to everybody who came out to Tom Reed's for our Buttes Live on Monday, today when we're recording, but you're listening on Tuesday, the whole thing. And yeah, have a great rest of your week. Bye.